so nobody's really interested. Niggas drinking, niggas not staying in shape. Fans had their contributions to the shit show. PBC gang banging, top rank gang banging. This was a collaborative effort in fucking boxing up on all parties.
Yeah. I look. What on earth are these guys complaining about? Are we not seeing the best fighting the best?
Besides the guy being mentally challenged, I'm not sure.
Like, what does he even mean by that? PBC gang banging, top rank gang banging. I don't even know what that means, Rick.
I don't know. I have no idea. Nope.
Oh, jeez. Look. I honestly, I don't think these fans are happy unless they're complaining about something.
Well,
like, and look, it's only in the American market, Rick. Your thoughts, my friend?
Well, I think you're right. I don't think I can even add to that. I mean, it's crazy. You're right.
They talk about the best not fighting the best. Did we just not see Terrence Crawford fight Canelo Alvarez for free on Netflix?
Yeah. And don't forget, and Billy and Lester Martinez was sensational too.
Absolutely.
On the same show.
And we saw Brandon Adams upset Sergey Boachuk in that same, or in at 154 pounds on the same card.
Now, I don't know if it was an upset because he already beat him the first. Brandon Adams beat him the first time they fought about 4 years ago.
And I picked him to win, absolutely. But on the handicappers odds, he was an underdog.
Fans always have to complain. It's the era of social media. It's all there is to it.
It's like, honestly, I think, and here's the sad part, dude. They don't complain about boxing in the UK. They don't. It's only in the American market, Rick. What's going on?
Well, it's the behavior of Americans. That's what it is.
Oh,
that's what it is.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, I tell you what, we are going to segue now into my favorite segment, guys. And here it is.
Maybe, just maybe, it's time for Rick Glaser's Twitter watch. Bang!
And you said this 4 days ago, Big Rick. You said this, a little rift between Eddie Hearn and Boots Ennis, but it will not affect the October 11th fight on DAZN, already scheduled before the rift started. Hopefully, calmer heads will prevail. In boxing, ego seems to play a part in these types of things. And then Eddie Hearn came on to answer you. He said on an interview, well, I don't know what he's talking about. I mean, look, and people take what Rick Glaser has to say as the absolute gospel. And, it's nonsense. We have a great relationship, and we just signed a new deal, and, he doesn't know what he's talking about. What say you, my friend?
They did sign a new deal. The rift started after they signed a new deal, and they're arguing. A little infighting. Not Eddie Hearn isn't happy. He's not fighting people. They're too difficult to deal with. After they got more money out of Eddie, and now they're jerking Eddie off. It's a funny thing. If I was wrong, Eddie wouldn't have said anything.
No, you're absolutely right, brother.
Yeah, of course.
But you know what? BOOHOO. We reap what we sow, not only in life, but in this business especially. This is what you get when you pay inflated purses. How does it always play out for the promoter, Big Rick?
No good.
So, guys, I look, he may not like it, but he better learn to love it because he did this. He did it, right? He did this.
Yep.
That's all I have to say about that. I mean, look, if he doesn't like it, stop paying out inflated purses. Stop paying out inflated purses. But like, guys, let's move on, because we're going to talk about we're going to talk about his fight this Saturday in just a matter of moments. But look, I think it's great though that Eddie actually answered you.
What's that?
I think it's absolutely great that Eddie answered you. Oh, geez, that's good stuff, guys.
You know, it's a funny thing. You want to go to fight the promoters that paid inflated purses. PBC paid inflated purses. Eddie Hearn came along and paid inflated purses. Top Rank had to keep up with those guys. They had to pay inflated purses. And they got dragged into this. Now they lost their TV deal because they need too much money from TV to pay these inflated purses.
Yep.
So Top Rank don't have a TV deal now. PBC's been on Skid Row, and Eddie's trying to cut back the money.
Yep.
Dial back the money now. That's what's going on.
That's it, guys. That's it. And once again, Don Target taught me this a long time ago. When you pay out inflated purses, it never ends well for the health of the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Because then if you pay fighters millions for soft touches, then they demand to open up the bank vault and a small fortune for a real challenge.
That's right,
guys, and that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. Yep. And it just stinks. But look, we're moving on. We're moving on, brother, because this is we only
see in the old days. Back when Duran fought Leonard, the first fight 45 years ago, Duran was making $300,000 a fight, and they paid him $2 million to fight Leonard. Right at the time, Leonard was making $2 million a fight, and he got $10 million. So they were able to pay one guy basically 7 times more, one guy 5 times more to make the fight. Today, they're getting paid such stupid money to fight bums. They can't justify paying 5 to 7 times more, or even twice as much, because those kind of fights got to go on pay-per-view today, and you got the digital thieves out there, so you don't have the pay-per-view buys to warrant it. So it's an endless cycle of bad business.
Yep, guys. And look, if you want to know the truth, this is the real reason why Turkey Al Sheikh felt desperate enough to do business with Nick Khan and Dana White, because he had no idea how to resolve this issue in the U.S. market. That's the reality, guys. That's the reality. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing business with him. But this is what you do when you're desperate. You do business with the guy who's been literally trying to tank boxing for the last 2 decades. That's what happens when you don't know what else to do. And you know what? G-Funky's right. It's even happening at the club level. Oh, boy, don't I know it. Oh, my God, these guys. Geez. Like
just a couple years ago, just 5-6 years ago, we were paying 2 guys $2,000 for 6 rounders. Now they want $6,000 for 6 rounders on club shows. Ridiculous.
And guys, before we move on to Saturday, October 11th, Jaron Boots Ennis versus Uisma Lima, we're going to say hello to our dear friends in the chat. Therese Bowie, welcome to the show, sir. He says, Rick, when will we get Boots versus Virgil? The Bud Duckers. Oh boy.
I don't know. I don't even want to comment on that, because who knows?
Seriously,
I don't think Boots Ennis wants to fight anybody real that can challenge him. I just don't see it.
And if he does, if he's making $3 million per fight against a ham and egger, no offense to all of the Uisma Lima fans, right? But look, if he gets paid for guys like David Avanesian, $3 million, how much do you think he's going to expect and demand for a fight against Virgil Ortiz?
Well, that's the point. I just said that he'll want 7 times as much, 5 times as much. I mean, it's going to be ridiculous. They can't. God. What they don't understand is the marketplace actually dictates And these guys, some of these guys paying inflated prices, this is why we can't make the good fights.
True words were never spoken, guys. Listen to Rick. He knows. And Jump to welcome to the show, sir. He says, I missed the intro. Brought to you by Affordable Dentures. Yes. And also brought to you by our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Yes, sir. This show is always brought to you by Affordable Dentures, as well as the Gomez Law Firm. Guys, for more information on the best personal injury attorney around the country, please go visit GomezLawFights.com and see what the Gomez Law Firm can do for you. Best personal injury attorney in the nation. Anthony Manzano, my nephew, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you, and thank you for supporting Big Rick on this day.
Does he admit you're his uncle?
It's just a term of endearment. We have no relation except on this show.
Oh,
he's just a very good dude.
Okay.
Jump Tube says, sounds like some good ribs from Big Sal's barbecue. That you're reading there, Big Rick.
Big Sal's barbecue. No. I'm not eating any ribs. I was having cashews.
Anthony Manzano says, does Oscar have a history of paying fighters inflated purses like you see with Eddie Hearn, Al, and Bob?
No, he pays them fair market value. He's not cheap, and he doesn't pay ridiculous money. He's fair.
And guys, this is coming from a former fighter, right? So there's something wrong if a former fighter is saying, yeah, this has to change. Something has to change, because Oscar has been saying this now for the almost 10 years. Something has to change. It started with Al Heyman killing the market, and he's like, Eddie Hearn, he's doing the same exact thing, trying to attract talent.
Yeah, then Top Rank was trying to catch up, and now they're on Skid Row.
Yep, there it is, guys. There it is, and that's why the American market is in shambles. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, Eddie is not doing this in the UK market.
No, the market's different in the UK. They come out, if you put a cockroach in one corner, another cockroach in the other corner, and they come out and fight. The people are watching.
Yeah.
As long as somebody's got a British flag on their trunks, you know what I mean? It's just the way it is.
And the fans will be happy about it.
Yeah. Yep. They're more ethnocentric than we are over here.
There it is, guys. There it is. And we go back to hold on. Anthony said this: as soon as the promoters moved away from renting out big stadiums to the sanitized site fee model with the casinos, that's another thing to support.
It's got its pros and cons. You got to remember something. When you're renting, let's say you're renting Madison Square Garden, it's $500,000, and you got $500,000 in hotel rooms, minimum $600,000 hotel rooms and food for everybody, and pickups and drop-offs at the airport. And now you got to advertise. So you got about $1.6 million right there in additional expenses compared to going to a casino. You got to sell an awful lot of tickets to overcome $1.6 million.
That is true. That is true. And once again, that's one of the many upsides of putting your event in a casino.
And don't forget the TV tax is higher in New York State. The state income tax for the fighters in New York State, there's none in Vegas, in Nevada, and the TV tax has got a limit on it in Vegas. So it's tough to do a stadium fight like in New York City, or arena stadium fight in New York State, and the same thing with California.
Yep.
So LA, for instance.
Honestly, Rick, it almost seems like
Is that compared to dishonestly?
Well, you tell me, brother. You're in boxing. But look, guys, it almost seems like New York and California are trying to make it virtually impossible for any promoter to make any kind of money staging events in boxing.
Yep, I agree with that.
It's terrible, guys. So once again, that's why Nevada, you're going to see in the near future, Nevada and Texas getting all the big events.
I tend to agree with you. I think Arizona will end up with some more too.
I hope so.
The Phoenix Glendale area. Yep, I think so.
Hopefully Florida as well. Guys, we're moving on to Martin 9400. Welcome to the show, sir. And he says, Rick, what's going to happen once Zuffa Boxing gets up and running? Will Turkey continue to overpay fighters for Riyadh season, or is he going to start?
It's completely two separate things. The Zuffa is going to be used as a feeder program for the other thing, and it's two separate things altogether. There's the correlation is the common denominator of the owner. One guy owns a piece of both companies, obviously, but it's two separate business models altogether. So no, two different things altogether.
The Martin also says, will the modifications of the Ali Act benefit or hurt established promoters like Golden Boy and Top Rank?
I don't think it'll affect them at all. I think they'll still use the BC, the BA, the WBO, and IBF, and I think that Zuffa will, Dana White's group will be using their own title, and they'll just add more confusion to the marketplace. The fans are now confused enough, and now you're going to add more confusion. See, what I would have done if I was them, with all that money they have, is I would have bought one of the titles. I would have bought one of the organizations for, IBF, WBO, WBA, BC. Try to buy one of the organizations and keep the people in that are running the organizations now as the president, blah, 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 and have your own title, but have it one legitimate. As Eddie Turner says, who's going to want to win a Zuffa title? The fuck is the Zuffa title?
Well, look, and once again, they proposed initially that was supposed to be the idea with the ring belt. Unfortunately, they forgot one little thing. All of the top-rated fighters are signed with other promoters and demand big money.
Right.
So who's going to compete for the ring title?
Right. Exactly.
That's a problem. And they forgot that. But anyway, guys, we're moving on once again to this.
Maybe, just maybe, it's time for Rick Glaser's Twitter watch. Bang!
Now, look, we have to stop after number one. This is a very long tweet, guys. But we're gonna do this in segments, right? And this was on October 4th, 6:07 a.m. And he said this: some things never cease to amaze me, especially in boxing, and a few tidbits. Number one, Gabe Rosado came out of retirement in August. Gabe will be 40 in January and is fighting again. But why? Gabe is such a likable guy. Rick, this is a problem almost as old as boxing itself.
Yep. It speaks for itself.
But
yep.
Why is he coming back, Rick?
I don't know. I didn't talk to him. I only talk to him when I see him. I don't call. We don't have a relationship where I call him up. Hey, Gabe, how you doing? So I don't have that kind of relationship with him. I see him. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Normal, pleasantries. It's ridiculous. Let's put it that way to you guys. But the guy lost his last 4 fights before he started his comeback against the Hobo, and he's 40 years old. It's over. Move on, man. Move on.
Yeah, look, guys, no one wants to see this. And really, what big fights does he hope to actually get? Is he trying to land a Canelo fight or something?
He's got like 16 or 17 losses. He's not going to get into a big fight.
So he's coming back for peanuts?
Basically.
Oh, geez. Gabe, come on, brother. Just continue to be an announcer for Golden Boy Promotions and DAZN. Brother, dude, don't. Once again, and that's a problem. Every gallant warrior still thinks he has one great performance still left in him.
Yeah, they do. Most of them do. It's in the bedroom.
Oh, geez. Let's forget you said that, brother. Number 2, he says, so many lie in boxing. If they actually told the truth would serve them much better. Rick, it's almost like this is like selling used cars in boxing. Why do so many people lie so fervently and frequently in boxing?
I don't know. They think the other people are stupid. They can get away with it. I don't know. It's terror. It galls the shit out of me. I mean, I got a lie detector. meter. When I starts the line, I just slam the phone down on them. And they
Bro,
says they
seriously.
call. Well, they'll call back and they'll say, "Oh, I was disconnected. We were disconnected." I said, "No, when I hung up on you." He says, "For what?" I said, "Lying to me. Don't lie to me. I didn't lie to you. Now you just lied again." So, fucking idiots. You
But
know.
no,
I mean,
you're not exaggerating.
no,
Like you're not exaggerating. Seriously,
no.
it's an epidemic. And the worst part about it is, Rick, everyone in this business talks. Like, don't they
Yep.
realize it's going to catch on? Everyone's going to find out.
I mean, I nicknamed Louis the Cubist Jr. Lying Louis. The guy lies to everybody. So, and listen, I don't even talk to the guy. He don't lie to me because I don't want to talk to him. I don't give him the time of day. That piece of shit. But the fact is, everybody calls me up. Lying Louis. I love the name. He lies all the time. He never tells the truth. Well, there you go.
Well,
You
you know
know.
what? And that was number 3. And Lion Louis Jacobs Jr. continues to lie his way through boxing. So many used to believe him, but now the lies are catching up with him. I rest my case.
Yeah, exactly
Yeah,
what's going on.
look, guys, even when he does interviews for some of his fighters who need translation, you'll notice that he lies even in the translated interview.
Well, I don't know if that's senior or junior because he ain't the most.
No,
The
no, that's
senior ain't the most honest guy either.
junior. Well, look, Senior, no one wants an interview with Senior because he's a lunatic.
Right, that's true too. Well, both are.
He's insane, brother. No, he
Yeah.
makes Junior look like a Rhodes Scholar at this point. And once again, I've known Lewis Senior for a very, very long time, as well as Lewis Junior.
Stop complaining on the air. Come on now.
There it is, guys. And we move to number 4. 4, he said, recently, young fighter asked me for some advice. He said, just one thing I need to know. I replied, don't have sex leading up to a fight. And he replied, I already did, and I won. Wow. Is that the first thing that came to your mind, Rick?
No, it was just something that happened in a conversation. It's all it's that
Oh,
simple.
geez. And you know what? And nothing surprised me when it comes from these fighters. Number 5, and this is a perfect example of it, guys. Rick said this in his tweet. Number 5, I told a fighter that is married there will be 4 airline tickets on his bout contract. He asked for a 5th ticket as part of the deal. I asked for whom. He replied, my side piece. And of course, I replied, absolutely not. He replied, hey, Rick, you got something against side pieces? Because I don't. Come on, man. You've got to be kidding me, Rick.
No.
That really happened?
Yep. Yeah, I had one fight 2 years ago, back in 2023, that the guy wanted to bring his girlfriend and his wife out, but on 2 separate flights. He wanted to bring his wife out with him on the same flight and his girlfriend out on another flight, and they would sit across the ring from one another. So he says, don't worry about it. They don't know each other.
Oh, geez. That is so bad. That is so bad, guys. And once again, and does it surprise me? Absolutely not. Guys, these fighters are something else. And that's
some of them are, yes. No, they're not all like that, but some of them are, yeah.
Nowadays, Rick?
No, there's a lot of ones that are old school and are very happily married or just with one woman and they don't have a side piece and so that's the story there.
Well, there are very few and far in between in my experience. But then again, you know a lot more about this business than I do. Number 6, your wife, Sonia. My wife said to me the other day, how do you deal with so many diverse personalities in boxing every day like you do? And so many are a little crazy. I replied, because after 35 years in boxing, I'm a little crazier. That's not a lie, is it, Rick? Because this business, you've got to be a little nutty to get in this business, isn't it?
You got to be a little off the wall. It's absolutely correct.
Yeah,
there's not even a question about that. You got to be a little off the wall.
Yep, guys, look, he's from Buffalo, and he used to attend games in that stadium in the snow. That right there in itself just tells
Well,
me everything.
that hasn't been since I was a kid. As an adult, I would never do that. I
Well,
was
that just
crazy
set
to
the
do
table
that back then. I
Well,
was
that just
crazy
set
to
the
do
table.
that. Right.
Number 7 was just asked the other day what I did for a living by a woman who that I could tell would not have liked boxing. I told her I was in global specialized communications. She replied, "That sounds so interesting."
Yeah.
Oh, Chihuahua. I tell you what. Rick, you are something else, brother. Yeah. And I mean that in a very good way, my friend.
Thank you.
So you said this 15 hours ago. You said, "What a shame that Frank Warren doesn't do darts and snooker." Frank's the best real boxing guy in the entire business of all the promoters. That's a fact. And Frank would never trade that in for anything. And obviously, you're referring to the deal Eddie Hearn just signed with Turkey Al Sheikh. Can you elaborate on that? What do you know about that deal, sir?
I really don't know that much about it. Just listen. Eddie wouldn't have done it if it didn't fit his agenda, and Turkey Al Sheikh wouldn't have done it if it didn't fit his agenda and goals. So it's fine. It is what it is. What it is. Anybody who can put up with Eddie's a better man than I am.
Well, I tell you what, guys, and once again, from what I've been told, because I've reached out to several people, and they said that it's just hold on, it's just a sponsorship deal, and mostly the deal is for what is it called, snooker and
Eh,
dart.
Yeah. Snooker is basically what we call billiards over here, pool. It's basically what it is, like that. You know.
Yeah. So on the boxing end, it's mainly a sponsorship deal. Like Frank Warren, he stages events that are sponsored by Riyadh Season, but aren't
Mhm.
Riyadh Season events, like the one coming up against Joseph Parker and what is his name? Gosh, goodness gracious, I can't believe I can't remember his name. The who's the contender fighting Joseph Parker? On October 25th.
I don't. What's his name? Worley or
Yes,
Wardley?
Fabio
Wardley.
Wardley.
Fabio Wardley.
So who do you think is going to win that fight, Rick?
I think Joseph Parker will win, but Fabio's a live underdog.
You know what? I like his power. I don't like his. Oh, guys, and by the way, when I reached out to them, they said that Huey Fury is more than likely, guys, and this is the first you're hearing it, guys. Huey Fury is more than likely going to be the next opponent for Moses Italma in December.
Oh my
Huey
God!
Fury. Who
Oh
do you,
my God! Is
do you
that
like
ugly?
do you like that event or no?
Oh,
That
oh,
says it all.
oh!
That says it all, Rick. Oh, goodness gracious. Tell us how you really feel, Rick.
That's like asking for a public lynching. Oh my God!
Well, maybe he's going to be doing a lot of people a favor because he's very awkward, Huey. But let's look at it this way: he's possibly going to give Moses Thomas some much needed rounds. What say you?
Not too long. Relatively quick.
Okay,
Maybe 3 rounds. Maybe 3 rounds.
wow. So you know what? That's going to be something. No one's ever done that to Huey Fury.
Yeah,
As contrary,
that'll happen. That'll happen.
well, then he'll be doing the sport a
Nobody did that to Michael Spinks when Mike Tyson did it. Same thing.
Yep. Agreed, brother. Agreed. Now, but yeah, that looks like it's going to happen, guys. So take it as you've heard it here first. And I don't even know if I was supposed to say that, but I did anyway on Rick Glaser's show. How do you like that? Rick, we're 32 minutes in, brother. What's going on
Okay.
here?
Well, real quick, come on. We got one more question. Come on, I'll do one more.
You want to do a tweet?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Okay, very good. Here is one that you just stated about 13 hours ago. Many believe Canelo can make the adjustments to win a rematch with Terence Crawford. Here's a statistical fact. The fighter with the higher ring IQ combined with the faster feet wins a rematch 90% of the time in boxing. and that's Crawford. Other Crawford advantages will be that he didn't know how the added weight would affect him. Now he knows he can handle the weight, also Canelo's power, so Crawford will start faster. Rick, based on that, what you know about boxing, and that's 100% true right there. Does Canelo take the rematch?
Well, I don't know about that. It depends what his options are and how much he gets offered for the rematch compared to another fight. I don't know that, but I will tell you that Crawford will beat him more convincingly the second time than the first time.
Yep. And look, one last one if you have time. Okay. And
Yeah,
this
of
was
course.
an
Oh,
hour ago.
Joe, for you, anything, Joe.
Yeah, I thought you said you didn't lie, Rick. So here it is, guys. 1 hour ago, he said this, and this is our main event of the show. I don't care when Boots Ennis fights. Until he fights worthy competition, I simply don't give an F. To me, Ennis has taken up money and airtime for those that will fight real fighters. That Hearn also promotes, one example being Bam Rodriguez. I don't want to see a fighter. I want to see a real fight. That's what boxing is really all about. It's called a fight for a reason, end quote. That is very well said, Rick.
I know
So,
because I said it.
woo, touche, brother. So here's the big question. Who does he fight? Does he ever fight Virgil Ortiz? Or is
He
the
doesn't.
money really going to be the
Listen. He
problem?
doesn't have to fight Virgil Ortiz. If he fought, well, what's his name? The guy who lost to Crawford and Madarov, Crawford and Virgil Ortiz. I would take that fight. I would like to watch that fight. That wouldn't be bad. I mean, I just don't want him to see he's fighting these no name fucking half of stiffs, and that's all he's been fighting. The guy's almost 30 years old. How old is he? 29?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, come on, stop with this already, will you?
He's wasting his prime. He's wasting his prime, Rick.
Right,
Okay.
right.
With that said, David Benavides stated this in an interview with Ring Magazine. He said, "Look, Canelo should have lost to me, not Crawford. Crawford stole my moment."
Huh.
Your thoughts on what David Benavides says? And a lot of people are saying he's being groomed to be the next big star in the American market. What say you about that as well?
David Benavides will never be a star in any market. He's just not that. Doesn't have that star power. Just some people have it, and some people don't. It would have happened already if he was going to be a star. He was on pay per view a couple times on the on PBC. They didn't do any buys. He's not a star.
Now, talk about that, Rick, because a lot of fans don't really understand what determines, and they should because they're the ones who determine whether or not someone becomes a star. But here's the problem, Rick. There is no rhyme or reason, is there? There is no
No,
magic formula or some recipe to
no.
generate the next big star
Certain
boxing.
guys, you just look at. You can see they can fight. They're good looking. They talk well. Like Oscar when he came up, you could just say this guy's going to be a star. It happens occasionally. It doesn't happen. It happens infrequently. Let's put it that way to you.
Yeah, and can you generate that? Can you fabricate that? Can you actually force someone to become a star? Can you force the
No,
fans to
no.
to
No.
gravitate towards a certain
Now
fighter?
you take Anthony Joshua in the UK won a gold medal for Britain. He was good looking, well built guy, talked well. You could see he had to start making some star power, especially in the UK, more so than he would have ever here if he was an American. So yeah, certain guys will just they become stars. You think they're going to become stars, but that's very very rare. Like I said, Oscar De La Hoya was like that, where you just thought he was going to be a star. Anthony Joshua was another one. I mean, you take a look at Tyson Fury. You don't say, and you listen to him talk, and you look at his body and stuff like that, and how sloppy he looks. You never think he was going to be a star.
Yep, that's true. Once again, to prove this, guys, true story. The great Don Warwick Chargan, my mentor in this, the guy who taught me everything about this business, he stated that what is his name? Who was handlers for Manny Pacquiao as well? Sergio Martinez, David Benavidez. What's his name? Samson
Who?
Lukowitz, right?
Oh,
Samson
yeah.
Lukowitz. Samson Lukowitz actually brought Manny Pacquiao to Don Warwick Jargon, and Don turned him down, said he's too small, doesn't have a prayer to be the biggest star, doesn't know any English. He's never going to be a big star. And what happened?
Yep.
That's a true story, guys. Don said it was the worst mistake he had ever made in this business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Teddy Brenner called uh Mike Tyson a stuffed arm midget.
there it is, guys. You never know. Once again, you never know what the fans are going to gravitate towards.
No.
To prove this, guys, and this is the last tweet we're going to do because we've taken up too much of Rick's time, but he said this 4 hours ago. To be the real face of boxing, a fighter must take risks, be it calculated risks. And that's why Tank Davis has never been the face of boxing, and nor will Boots Ennis ever be. Who you fight is huge. You don't have to fight a killer every time if you fight twice a year, once a year, but you'd better make it a big fight, as in the biggest fight you could possibly be in, end quote. Rick, do you think that has everything to do with it, who you fight?
Absolutely.
Uh,
100%.
Case in point, let's look at who Terrence Crawford just fought.
Yep.
There it is, guys. Rick, any parting shots for our listening audience, sir?
Yep. Louis the Cubans Jr. is still lying Louis this week like he was last week.
Hey, brother, and are the Yankees going to be able to pull it out, man, against Toronto? Are they going to fare better
They're
than
done. They're done. They might win one game and then lose tomorrow night and then lose on Wednesday or maybe they win two. They'll go get beat when they go back to Toronto. They just don't have it. They just
Rick?
don't have the bullpen is weak. Um, you know, just they're minus. What's his name there? Garrett Cole. You know, they just don't have it. So
Rick, and what about
one
Mike
thing about
Years?
baseball,
Go ahead.
it's got the longest season of all the league sports,
Yep.
and baseball starts again in February. And it ends basically in the first couple days in November. So it's got the shortest. It's got a very short off season like NASCAR. NASCAR ends the second week in November, and it starts President's Day weekend. So same with NASCAR. So it comes back quicker than you think.
I love baseball. And to be honest with you, I'm going to say this, and maybe I sound like Alex Jones right now, but I'm sorry. The Dodgers are guilty of stealing signs.
Oh, I'm not going to accuse a legendary team of that, but a lot of people think that. But I'll leave it
Come on,
like that.
brother. There's no other
Listen,
explanation for the way they beat up our starting rotation. That's ridiculous.
do we have time? Do we have time for one bad joke?
Let's hear it, Rick. It's your show, brother.
A guy says to his wife, "Honey, how come you ended up marrying me? What was the final, decision and why?" "Well, I find you very funny." He says, "I thought it was because I was good in bed." She goes, "See, you're hilarious."
Woo! There it is, guys. He's Rick Glaser. He'll be here next Monday. Guys, every Monday. It's the high point of my day. Rick, thank you, brother, for being here, man. We always appreciate your candor as well as your knowledge. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me again. Bye-bye now.
God bless you, brother. Thank you for the extra time, brother. That was big Rick Glaser. Chihuahua. I tell you what, guys, look, he's not wrong. It's hard to get up for this fight coming up this Saturday. Once again, I'll always tune in, guys. I'll always tune in because I love boxing. But I'll be honest, guys, I'm not champing at the bit to see, Uisma Lima. Like, honestly, and Uisma Lima, to his credit, he's not a bad fighter. But is there any doubt in your mind? And once again, this is the theater of the unexpected. Anything can and often does happen in the sport of boxing. But, guys, I'll put my house on it. Jaron Boots Ennis does not lose. In fact, he beats him soundly, convincingly. Like, guys, there's no drama in this fight. This is one of the things, this is one of the problems with boxing. And I hate to pile on like most fans, but guys, you can't help it in this case. Guys, it's my pleasure to introduce to the stage my nephew, Anthony Manzano. Anthony, how you doing, brother?
Hey, Joe. Honestly, the whole lying, the thing you were talking about with lying, in my honest opinion,
Yep.
I feel the reason why these reporters and media personalities get away with lying is because the fans themselves are too lazy to check the sources and take the time to do research on their own to see if these guys are telling the truth. They just take what the reporter is saying at face value and stuff like that.
Look, Anthony,
Is that,
to be honest,
am I right?
yeah, look, to be honest, and this has been a problem in boxing for a very long time. Just like it's been a problem, with politics for a very long time, right? Guys, look, it's just like being a politician or a used car salesman. Eddie Hearn is no different, right? Can you hear me,
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes, I can.
Okay, very good. Guys, this is a real problem. This is why I'm like, I have 1 foot out of the business. Guys, I
Joe,
can't stand it.
I'm gonna say this. It's like, to me, Jerry Jones is guilty of this. He's the biggest used car salesman of all time.
You're talking about Jerry Jones?
Yeah, the Cowboys owner.
Yep. Look, Eddie Hearn makes Jerry Jones look like a prince.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Are we talking about the same Jerry Jones that basically has to do everything?
Yep.
For the Cowboys?
Look. I'll say this, guys. Look, Thomas, if you're not too tired, man, click the link. We always love featuring you, brother. And once again, guys,
and Joe,
hold on, Anthony. That's ring announcer extraordinaire, Thomas Schreiber. Thank you for tuning in, my friend. Love you, brother.
Yeah, with Benavidez, to be honest, Joe, this is on an honest thing. Do you think would it have changed anything if he had gone to Golden Boy and Oscar, being that he has the corner on the American Mexican market to get him to cross over to the American market, and Oscar done the building for him?
Look, I really don't know what you're asking, Anthony.
No, with David Benavidez, okay, because you guys say if he was going to be a star, it would have happened already. Do you think if he had gone to Golden Boy, who knows how to connect with the Central American boxing fans in the United States and stuff like that, it would have actually made Benavidez a bigger star because Oscar knows how to connect with those type of the American Hispanic market and stuff like that?
There is no rhyme or reason. There is no rhyme or reason for making someone a big star in boxing. If there were, then every promoter would be doing it. But there is no rhyme or reason, guys. There is none. And trust me. Look, Anthony, listen to this. Trust me, man. I've done PR for several fighters on so many levels, and there is no magic formula. There is no rhyme or reason why fans choose to gravitate towards one fighter and not another. And look, to be honest, Jump Tube, Thomas has heard all of my impressions, including Michael Caine, including Morgan Freeman. He's heard all of them. And guys, as I say that, it's my pleasure to announce to the stage one of the elite members of the boxing brotherhood and fraternity, the incomparable Double T, Thomas Schreiber. Thomas, how are you doing, my friend?
Joseph, I am doing well. I'll have to admit, I dealing with a little bit of jet lag. Flew in very late last night from beautiful Glasgow, Scotland, but fighting through it, man, and tuned into your show a few minutes ago, speaking with Mr. Rick Glaser, of course, the legend himself, and always enjoy your program.
Thank you, my friend.
I'm cracking up, Joe, because every time I hear Thomas talk, his projection sounds like Lupe a little bit.
No, that's Joe. Joe does the
No,
Lupe.
that's me. I do the Lupe Contreras impression. Okay, so which one do you want to hear, Thomas? Do you want to hear Nonito or do you want to hear Miguel Cotto's?
Oh, I want to hear Nonito, because I always love the way you say his last name.
From General Santos City in the Philippines, the Filipino Flash, Nonito Donaire. Woo!
Oh, man, you are good. You are good.
You need to do that on front of. You need to do that. If Lupe doesn't believe you can do it, just do it in front of him.
No, he'll say to my face,
I just don't hear it.
Yeah, I sent Lupe one time. I sent Lupe Joe's impersonation, and he said he didn't hear it. But everyone else I've ever presented it to, they all go, "Oh, that's Lupe. That's Lupe."
You know what? I'm going to do the Miguel Cotto one anyway because I love that one.
I want to hear it.
The fighting pride of Puerto Rico. Caguas to the bone. From San Juan, Miguel Angel Cotto.
Oh,
Did he ever do Manny?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm sorry, Anthony. What was that?
Did Lupe ever announce any of Manny's matches?
I'm sure he did when he was just starting out.
But not when he became a big star.
Yeah, look, the guys who at that time were doing all of the big fights, that was who, Thomas?
Of course, Jimmy and Buffer.
Jimmy and Michael. That's it. But hey, guys, we can say now who's doing all the big events. That's Michael and Thomas. Thomas is one of the elite, and brother, it's been a long time coming, and it's well deserved, my friend.
Well, thank you, Joe. And it's really been an incredible ride. I've been with Queensberry now 8 years. Just celebrated 8 years with Queensberry last month, and now 2 years working with His Excellency and all the ring and re-yacht season shows. So it's been an incredible blessing to be part of so many amazing events.
I tell you what, and we look forward to so many more, including the big one on October 25th. Are you excited, Thomas? And
absolutely.
Is there a possibility of an upset here?
I mean, you never know. You never know. Fabi Wardley's that one punch type guy. You saw what
Joe doesn't have power.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what, Anthony?
Joe does not have power.
No. He's a heavyweight. All heavyweights do at that level. Anthony, and do me a favor, brother. I love you, Anthony, but please do not interrupt my brother Thomas when he's speaking.
No, that's okay, Anthony. That's okay. You're able to.
Anthony knows better. That's why I'm saying he's my nephew. That's why I'm saying that.
But look, Anthony and Joe. I mean, it's a very interesting matchup, and we saw what Wardley did in his last fight in his own hometown. He pulled the rabbit out of the hat, if you will, and got the knockout when he needed it, when he was down on the cards. So he's just one of those tough guys. And I've never seen Wardley hurt. I've never seen the guy hurt. So, he's got whiskers, and we all know what a great fighter Joseph Parker is as a former WBO heavyweight world champion. And he's been in there with a lot of top opposition. So I think it's a really great matchup, and I'm super excited to be back at O2 Arena in London. And, even when I was just in Scotland, at the hotel, you could just feel the excitement about that event. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's excited about it. So definitely tune in October 25th. It's pay-per-view, DAZN pay-per-view. So it's an event you're not going to want to miss.
And guys, I know this was a regional event, but in case you missed it, Thomas, talk about that barn burner you just witnessed and we had the best seat in the house for this past weekend.
Yes, we had a really, really good main event with Nathaniel Collins. He's from Glasgow, and he fought a really tough fighter from Spain in Lorente. And it was a close fight. I watched it very closely, and I did think perhaps that Collins was going to get the nod. I thought maybe he was a couple rounds ahead, but it was a split draw. So one judge did have it for Collins by 2 rounds, 115, 113, and it was also 115, 113 in favor of Lorente by one of the other judges. And then the third judge had it a draw. So I don't know. I mean, you can certainly make an argument that that was a good decision, but it was a number. Now, here's the strange thing, Joe, and maybe you could tell the fans what happens in these situations. That was actually a final eliminator for the WBC championship. So what direction do they go now? Do they have a rematch? What does the WBC do now when a final eliminator ends in a draw?
Well, look, and if you're referring to back in the 80s, the 70s, and even the 90s, when boxing was still run like a sport, in the past, they would always order an immediate rematch. But nowadays, this is probably the weakest the sanctioning organizations have ever been. To where the promoters and the fighters, they don't just jump whenever the sanction organizations say something or order something. So they will talk to the fighters and talk to the promoters and say, look, if there's money behind it, if the network's interested, then yes, we'll go ahead and order an immediate rematch in a situation like this.
Joe and Thomas, for me as a combat sports fan, my whole life, the Buffers have been the voice of combat sports for me. Bruce and his
yeah. Well, look. But you're talking about Mr. Magoo, Bruce.
Oh, be nice, Joe.
Come on,
be
guys.
nice.
Talk about the shallow end of the gene pool, and that's all I'm going to say about it, guys.
Look, they have very different styles. Bruce brings that MMA ruggedness with his style. And then Michael is your classic ring announcer type. I mean, we're talking about 2 different combat sports, but I mean, I'm a fan of both. I mean, of course, Michael is who I grew up watching. Him and Jimmy were the 2 that really, for me, I admired and wanted to learn from, and I've just been super blessed to get to know and work with both of them for many years.
Was Jimmy Lennon's father also a ring announcer, Joe?
Oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me, Anthony. Jimmy Lennon is a legend.
I knew of Jimmy
Senior is a legend. He's on the Rocky movies, brother.
Oh, Jimmy Senior? Really?
Now, guys, you want to hear Jimmy Lennon? The best Jimmy Lennon impression, guys, I've ever heard is from Double T Thomas Driver. Thomas, please, the floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you as we welcome you to a great night of boxing action live from the MGM Grand here in Vegas, Nevada.
Dude, that's amazing. Woo! Dude, I swear, that is Jimmy Lennon, guys. Like, that is Jimmy Lennon, Anthony. Like, that sounds like junior and senior. Like, seriously, that's perfect. Thomas, when did you first know that you could do that?
Well, you know what? When I started doing the Showbox events for Showtime in around 2000, when I did 2001, I made my debut on Showbox. It was just a couple weeks after 9/11. And the reason I will never forget that is because, of course, after 9/11, our world shut down and everything was in jeopardy. And I was already booked for the event. I already had my airfare. I mean, I just was really worried. Here I was getting my opportunity to make my debut on Showtime. And then there's the 9/11 attack. And I was just gutted, thinking perhaps, I mean, first of all, mostly I was sad for people who were victims of that horrible tragedy. But I was also disappointed that perhaps my big opportunity wasn't going to happen. But thankfully, things did get back in order, and I was able to make my debut in late September of 2001. And then it was in 2002 that I got the opportunity to fill in for Jimmy Lennon Jr. on a Showtime Championship boxing show. So I was like, wow. And long story short, it was in Louisiana and New Orleans Arena. It was Francois Botha versus Clifford Etienne. And
Oh, Black Rhino. I
that's
remember that
right.
fight.
That's right. And they called me. I remember they gave me a call like early afternoon, the day of the fight, like around noon or 1. And they just asked, would you mind just coming down to the arena? Because my hotel was walking distance. Would you mind just coming down to the arena so we could do a little run through, and we'd like to go over the main event script? And I'm like, well, I've never had anyone ever write a script for me. So this was new territory, if you will. And when I met with our executive producer, Gordon Hall, great guy, he said, this is what we need you to say for the main event. And then the lights are going to drop and they're going to come on. You know, you've seen Jimmy do what he does. You're going to do the same thing. And I said, wait a minute. I'm going to say it's showtime. And I said, isn't that Jimmy Lennon's line?
Yep.
And they said, no, that's the show's line. So that's why when you've heard Jimmy Lennon on other networks, he'll say something similar, but he won't say it's showtime.
It's the main event of the evening. Yeah.
Yeah, or he'll say it's prime time, like he says now, you know, with the prime shows. And so to answer your question, the very first time I ever did the impersonation, we were doing sound checks. This is before any of the fans are there. Like I said, it's very early afternoon, the day of the show. And just for fun, I don't know what made me do it. I had really never impersonated Jimmy before, but because I was saying the Jimmy Lennon line and I was doing the main event, for some reason, I just did it in my Jimmy Lennon Jr.'s voice just to, you know, get a laugh. And my God, everybody in the truck loved it. You know, they came out of the truck and came ringside and said, that was incredible. You sounded just like Jimmy. And that was the first time that I thought, wow, you know, I guess I can do a pretty good Jimmy impersonation. So that was 2002. And then, you know, I've done it here and there just for a laugh amongst family, friends, or other, you know, I've been on other podcast shows and stuff like that. So, you know, it's a lot of fun, but I'm not like you, Joe. I can only do Jimmy Lennon Jr. You could do hundreds of voices. So I'm far from a impressionist, but Jimmy Lennon's my only
Double
one.
T. I thought you said you could do the Fink.
Oh yeah, you can do a little bit of Finkel.
Look, man, he's got Howard Finkel. And look, no offense, Thomas, and no offense to brother Michael. I love Michael Buffer. But I'm sorry, for my money, Howard Finkel will always be the greatest ring announcer of all time.
Well, he was also on my Mount Rushmore, absolutely, or is on my Mount Rushmore, I should say, because as you know, Joe, I was a huge pro wrestling fan even before I got into the pro wrestling business. And, you know, watching all the WrestleManias, it was always the Fink. You know, so yeah, Howard Finkel, that's a great call. I think in professional wrestling, without a shadow of a doubt, the Fink, and second to that would be Gary Michael Capetta, who was the ring announcer for the NWA and WCW. And I just always loved, he had just had a really great voice and delivery. And then, of course, in boxing, Jimmy and Buffer, those are the two Mount Rushmores there. So
didn't Mean Gene do ring announcing too?
No. He was the guy who did the interviews.
He did the interviews, but you're not wrong, Anthony, because when Mean Gene Okerlund was in the AWA, the American Wrestling Alliance, working for Vern Gagne before his WWF days, he did do some ring announcing in the AWA. You know, he wore a few different hats. He was, of course, their interviewer, but there were events that Mean Gene would ring announce as well in the AWA, never with the WWF.
Okay, yeah, no, because I've a guy like that with how much experience how long he had been in the business, I assumed he would have done it in the territories, ring announcing and stuff like that too.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, when you work behind a mic and Joe, this. I mean, we take every gig we can, to get experience. And I've worn several hats behind the microphone, but ring announcing I consider, my forte. And that's what I've really pursued, and I'm thankful that I now make a living as a ring announcer.
Oh boy, and I tell you what, G Funky Boxing, our brother, thank you for joining us, sir. Says awesome job on the Jimmy Leonard Jr. and DJ MFB. He says, I can't believe that's not Jimmy. And G Funky has a special request. Says, Thomas, can we get the Fink introducing
Oh my
Axe and
goodness.
Smack from the Demolition?
I have not done the Fink in a long time. I have to reach down and deep for that one here.
Look, we don't want to put you on the spot. If you don't feel like doing it, that's okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if it's there. I don't know if it's
no,
there.
that's perfect. Keep going.
I have to. Let's get back to that.
All right, brother. I tell you what.
And my ring announcer was always Tony Chimmel.
Tony Chimmel, hey, all right. Yeah, no, longtime veteran ring announcer for the WWF. He wore, Tony also worked behind the scenes. I did not know this, but I found this out at some point. He was also in charge of the pyro, from what I understand as well. So when you would see when Batista would come out, or Shawn Michaels and DX would come out with the pyro, I'm almost certain that Tony Chimmel was the one that would, work on that end.
What were your guys' opinions on Lillian Garcia as a ring announcer?
Fantastic. I think, personally, she is probably the best female ring announcer I've ever heard, because
you know what? I agree with that.
She's very solid. She's very, very good. There's nothing cheesy about her style. She doesn't overdo it. And I know that things have changed in the WWE now with the way their ring announcers are presenting the wrestlers. And I'm an old school guy, so I'm always gonna lean towards more of the classic ring announcing style.
You know why that cheesy? Michael Cole is mentoring these guys. Michael's very cheesy, so
well,
what do you expect?
Well, but I think, to answer your question, I think Lillian is really, really good. She just has a great delivery. She never sounds like she's overdoing it. A strong presence. She looks great. I think she's fantastic.
Well, I tell you what, Jump Tube, thank you for hanging with us, my friend. Good to see you. And he says, sup, Thomas? Tell us some stories from the road trips in the world of pro wrestling.
Well,
tell us about getting the stunner, brother. Did you get the stunner, or no? He didn't have the stunner yet.
He did not have the stunner yet. So, yes, I was a professional wrestler for 2 years, from 1990, late 92 to around early 94. And in 93, I had the opportunity to wrestle for WCW, World Championship Wrestling. I was Tommy Tana. I was enhancement talent, or as they refer to it, I was a jobber. But it was an incredible opportunity for me at 19 years old to take my professional wrestling to another level. And I did. I got to wrestle Steve Austin when he was stunning Steve Austin. He was part of the tag team, the Hollywood Blondes, with Flying Brian Pillman. I also wrestled Ravishing Rick Rude, the Equalizer.
How about Juventud?
No, he was not there yet.
Juventud Guerrero, come
on. We're talking about 1992.
We're talking to the early 90s, brother.
Yeah, so this was a little before Juventud and Eddie Guerrero or Benoit. Or actually, I take that back. I was just going to lead into a story with what I was saying. So when I was there doing enhancement work, that's when Chris Benoit was just brought in to WCW. So we all stayed at the same hotel in Atlanta. And what we would do is we would drive from that. So if we had to do a 3-day loop, like if we were doing Macon, Gainesville, and Columbus, Georgia, we'd stay at the hotel in Atlanta. And then in the rental car, we would all drive to Macon and then back to the Atlanta hotel. And then the next day, drive to Gainesville and then drive back to the hotel in Atlanta. So I did a 3-day loop with Chris Benoit and went to the gym with him and Davey Boy Smith. The gym we trained at every day in Atlanta was owned by Sting and Lex Luger. And they had a, tanning, they had a really nice gym, and all the boys would train there. We'd all go for breakfast at the Waffle House in the morning, which was in the parking lot, of the hotel in Atlanta. And then we would all go to the gym and hit the tanning bed and then get back to the hotel, shower up, and then we'd leave for the next event at 2-3 in the afternoon to get there a couple hours before bell time. So one time I was in the car with Davey Boy Smith and Chris, and I was sitting in the back seat. And I remember Chris stopped at a red light, and we were just sitting there. And then the light turned green, but Chris was distracted. He was kind of looking off somewhere. And I'll never forget, in his British accent, Davey Boy goes, "Chris," and I don't do a good British accent. He said, the light doesn't get any greener, Chris." I always remember him saying, "The light doesn't get any greener, Chris."
You sound more Australian than British.
I do, and no, I'm not good with the British. Like I said, I'm not an impressionist like Joseph Heron. So, but anyhow, there's a little story for you there from my grappling days.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And JumpTube says, has Thomas heard your Jesse Ventura joke? He's heard all of my impressions.
But right now, Monsoon, look, let me tell you something. Before I became governor, I met Fidel Castro. And, it's really, I'd run for president right now. But, I live half the year I live in the Bajas.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like it.
Joe, you know what? In my head, when you did that, I thought you were doing an impression of Brian Raphael for some reason.
Well, look, I've been told that my Jesse Ventura sounds a lot like Bill Walton from NBA, God rest his soul.
And throw it down.
Yeah, it sounds a lot more like Bill Walton. But look, I'm going to ask you this, brother. This is an exciting time for you, Thomas. The Cubbies.
It is. Can
they pull it out, my friend? Can the Cubbies pull it out, brother? Can they? They're playing right now. Can they come back to beat? And is this a must-win against the Milwaukee Brewers?
Well, as a native Chicagoan, I'm very embarrassed to say that I have not been following baseball this year. I've been.
Well, you've only been traveling half the world for boxing, so you get a pass, brother.
It's been a little easier for me to catch the Bears games. I've really been enjoying the last couple of Bears games. Of course, this week they've got the bye, but they're back on Monday Night Football next week against Washington, and so I'm
going to become a Bears fan next week, brother.
What's that?
I'm going to become a Bears fan next week.
Okay.
And yes, I'm going to say beat the Redskins because they always will beat the Redskins. They'll always be the Redskins in my mind.
Yeah,
I cannot say the C word.
I just can't. Oh boy, you're just, me and Joe and I are about the same age. And in fact, I think we are exactly the same age. Joe's got a few months on me and I'm the same way.
Even though I look about 10 years older. Go ahead.
Yep. Oh man. So yeah, I mean it's sad that I have not really been following. And I was a big Cubs fan back in the day. I grew up on the south side area of Chicago. I was actually right over the border in Hammond, Indiana. That's where I was born and raised. But if anybody knows, geography, they know that I grew up 15 minutes from Comiskey, where that was the name of where the Sox played. I was only 20 minutes from Soldier Field. So, growing up in Chicago, I mean, you couldn't help but be a sports fan. It's just something, my dad was a big fan and, so it was great. And then of course, when the Bulls were winning all the championships with Jordan and Scottie Pippen, I mean, what a great time to be a Chicago Bulls fan it was when they were winning all the championships.
That's nothing. When I was a Navy SEAL.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do Jesse anymore. But I will say this, Thomas, you haven't been on the air since the passing of Hulk Hogan. What was that day like for you when you found out that Hulk Hogan had passed away?
Yeah, just terrible news. I was in Bournemouth I was in Bournemouth, England, to do a Queensberry event the day the news broke, and everybody that I spoke to at the hotel, we were all really, really saddened and shocked. And of course, it was just right after we lost the great Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh boy!
And
From Birmingham.
From Birmingham, yeah. And so no, but I mean, look. When I became a wrestling fan in the early to mid 80s, I mean, that's when Hulkamania was taking off. And, he was a big part of my childhood. I had the wrestling figures. I had the Hulk Hogan wrestling figure. And I actually still have my figures. I kept them all. They've survived my moves throughout the years. They survived my marriage. So I have somehow hung on to my wrestling figures throughout my entire life. And it's just really sad. It's sad when you see people who were so influential and had a big part of your childhood, and who can also forget the days with the NWO and the Nitro and Raw Wars, the Monday Night Wars. I mean, that was just amazing. Hogan was a great performer, and perhaps not the greatest wrestler, but that look and that charisma, it was just an incredible talent that he had.
It's amazing. When I first ascertained that, without saying it, I first ascertained that we were doing a show together, Thomas. And when I got into the ring to do the post-fight interview, you said, man, you kind of have that Bret Hart look going on.
Yeah.
Because I've got the ponytail, and that's the first time anyone's ever said that. And I'm like, wait a minute. No one's ever said that. Dude, he must be in wrestling.
Yes.
And that's when I first knew that, yeah, you were a wrestling guy.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I will always be a wrestling guy. Wrestling, I'm sorry. As much as I love boxing, baseball, football, I will always consider wrestling to be the best, most entertaining bang for my buck.
Well, that was my goal, Anthony and Joe. That was my goal when I started ring announcing. My real goal was to, get into a big company like WCW or WWF as a ring announcer. I started ring announcing at 17. And as luck has it, I did have the opportunity to train and become a professional wrestler because I competed in some bodybuilding competitions when I was 19 years old. And that kind of opened the door with my physique at the time to train and wrestle. But my real goal was ultimately to make it to the WWF or WCW. And I did. I never, the opportunities in boxing just kept coming my way, with making my debut on ESPN in 95 and then signing with America Presents and the Fox Sports Net series in 97. And that's just the direction my career went. And, but lo and behold, 10 years ago, I did get the call to go and audition for WWE. And I was brought to the Performance Center and did some auditioning. This was just when Justin Roberts left the company. And this is when they were just starting NXT. So they were kind of looking at talent. And, unfortunately, I never ended up getting the phone call. I got some really good feedback. In fact, one of the guys who handled my auditioning process told me, at this time, we're going to go a different direction. But I just want you to know that a very high executive, and I'm almost certain he was speaking of Triple H because he was there, a very high executive said, I've got one question. Are we crazy not hiring this guy? That's exactly what they told me. And I said, wow. I said, well, that's quite a compliment. But that is what a very high up executive said when they didn't hire me, is, are we crazy not hiring this guy? And I was very disappointed. I was not thriving in my ring announcing work at the time. This was before Queensberry. And I was still working regularly and working steadily, but not getting that WWE gig, which was my ultimate dream, was a big kick in the gut. And but thankfully, the doors in boxing continue to open. And I'll be perfectly honest, I love my job. And now, in reflecting, I'm glad I didn't get that job, because I love my position now in boxing. I love working with Queensberry. 8 years now. They're a great company to work for. And I just couldn't be happier. And in WWE,
WWE's loss is definitely our gain, Thomas.
Well, thank
and
you.
we couldn't be happier, man, for all the big events that you've been getting.
The loyalty that Frank Warren has is unbelievable. And he's a classy guy. I've worked for a lot of big name promoters, and I've had a great relationship with all of them. But Frank's that type of guy that when you see him, he's going to say, "How was the flight? Everything okay with your hotel?" I mean, this is Frank Warren, and he's a classy man, and his sons, that work closely with Queensberry as well. They're all very classy, professional people, and the entire staff at Queensberry has been incredible. And now, that door of opportunity to work now for 2 years and be part of all the Riyadh season and ring shows and do shows at Wembley Stadium in front of 95,000 fans, and Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 70,000, and stadium in Los Angeles when we did Crawford Madrimov. It's just been unbelievable. It's just too many great things even to mention in this show right now. But very happy now in reflecting and not getting hired by WWE. I'm very happy with where I'm at now.
Well, I'll tell you what, we couldn't be happier for you, Thomas. And G Funky says, my brother in Christ, he says, the Lord always puts us in the right place, even when we don't think so. Amen. Amen, brother. His timing is perfect, and his will for our lives is perfect, guys. Once again, did I mention that this show is always brought to you by our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ? Guys, if you haven't already surrendered your life to Jesus, please do so at this time. Look, we're going to get into some music news because I know you're a big fan of music, especially from the old days, the 70s and 80s. Those are my favorite eras of music as well. Some rock news, guys, and this is huge, and G Funky will be interested in this as well. Rush is getting back together without Neil Peart, and they've hired Annika Niles, a female drummer. She used to be the drummer for Jeff Beck before he passed away. Your thoughts on the opportunity to finally get to see Rush?
Well, of course, growing up when we did, Joe, Rush was a big group that put out so many great hits and so many great songs. I mean, to think that they're still touring, to think that they're still performing. I mean, Joe, I mean, what ages are these guys now? I mean, it's incredible that they're going to be back on stage and touring. I mean, this is fantastic news.
Oh, I love it. And this is such good news, guys. That's one of my favorite bands of all time. And who used to come out to Tom Sawyer as a wrestler? Who used to come out to Tom Sawyer? That was Kerry Von Erich.
That's right. Kerry Von Erich. Who can never forget?
That's the beat. Kerry Von Erich. There it is. There it is, guys. Oh, gosh, I'm so sorry to report this. But at the end of 4, the Brewers have a commanding lead over the Cubbies, 7-4. But there's still half the game to go. So I'll tell you what, we're rooting for the Cubbies tonight. My Reds were ousted in 2 straight by the Dodgers, who were stealing.
No, they were stealing signs, McMahon.
Yeah, they were stealing signs. I don't mean to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but they were stealing signs. And yes, I said it.
It's not stealing unless you get caught, McMahon. Or not cheating unless you get caught. Remember he would say
it's just like not paying your taxes, McMahon. It's only illegal if you get caught.
Yeah, I always remember Jesse saying it's not cheating unless you get caught, McMahon.
I love Jesse the Body, but I think my favorite wrestling impression to do of all time is probably
Hulk Hogan. I want to challenge you for your title at WrestleMania.
Like his promos were the weirdest. I think he and Macho Man were a dead tie, right, for the weirdest promos. Like Andre would make up shit that didn't exist. Like,
me and Haku, the Colossal Connection. We're gonna challenge you to win the Intercontinental Tag Team titles.
And I'm like, There's no such thing, Andre. It didn't matter because it was Andre the Giant.
But you know what the thing, Joe, was back then? They didn't have writers like they do now. They would just tell them, hey, look, here's a couple of, bullet points you want to hit. Go out there and do it. These guys would wing it. Most of what you heard from these guys in the 80s and 90s, they didn't have Hollywood writers in the back writing out scripts and things like they do now. So when I watch any footage from back in the day of interviews, I mean, these guys were doing it. I mean, think about Roddy Piper when he would host Piper's Pit. I mean, there was no writers. There was no people out there saying, hey, Roddy, I want you to say this and I want you to say that and do this and do that. I mean, that was Roddy Piper. That just goes to show how incredibly talented guys like Roddy Piper were, or Bobby the Brain Heenan. I mean, he could have been a comedian. He could have been another Don Rickles. I mean, he was so witty. And I love when you do your Gordon's your Gorilla Monsoon impression as well. Come on, you have to.
Stop, Brain. Tito Santana's going to be doing the flying jalapeno. Will you stop?
I miss Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain in the worst way. They were, in my opinion, they were the very best commentators in all sports. Like they made every event feel like a big event when they got together.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, oh man. I mean, that was just such a really special time. And I think that's why people of our generation, Joe, we will always be wrestling fans because of the incredible talent that these guys had. And, when the WWF, took off, the majority of these guys were brought in from other territories because, as you know, wrestling was territorial in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So when they were bringing guys in, making their debut in the WWF, they already had 10, 15, 20 years of wrestling experience. So that's why they were so good. It's not like most of the guys today that train for 6 months at the performance center and, they're pushing them on TV and, they've never traveled or, wrestled the way these guys did. So, I always say you can't substitute experience. You can't teach experience. It is something you have to live. It's something you have to go through. That's why as we get older, we get wiser, at least we should get wiser, so we learn from our mistakes. So that's why these guys were so fluid. That's why they were so good. That's why they could do things off the cuff without these Hollywood scripts in front of them.
I was a firm believer that Macho Man just, like I said, he had the weirdest promos other than Andre the Giant. And I think he just picked his favorite song and just went off and just started reciting song lyrics. Ooh, yeah, a modern day warrior, yeah. And it's like, it's almost like, it was so weird. I don't think there'll ever be another Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah, he was another unique talent. I mean, that voice, that look, his movements. I mean, it's just so iconic, man, and I certainly miss, those days. And that's no disrespect to all the great performers there are now in the WWE or in AEW or
but it's not the same. It's not the same.
Any of the other companies. But I mean, look, people always remember the first as well. They make, when a new company, when a new company starts or takes it to another level. If you were there when Vince McMahon was starting the pay-per-views, like Paul Orndorff and Hulk Hogan, all these guys were there, when the first dolls were made, when the company went national and worldwide. So of course you're going to have a special place in your heart for the performers that were there during this significant life, world-changing direction that professional wrestling went. So, and that's why for me as a ring announcer in boxing, it's really been an absolute honor for me to be part of the Riyadh season and the ring shows, because they have, over 2 years now. I was part of the very first one when Fury fought Ngannou. And it's just really awesome to be there and be part of these events since it started. So, and we know the impact that His Excellency and has made on the sport. So I'm truly honored to have been part of it from the beginning of His Excellency's involvement.
Well, I tell you what, we couldn't be happier for you. And once again, we're looking forward to November 22nd. I'm gonna ask you this, Thomas. Is David Benavidez, does he have the potential to be the next big star in the American market? Let's just face it. Crawford's 38. Canelo, well, yeah, he's seen better days. Ryan Garcia, you can't rely on him. Tank Davis is on his way out. Is David Benavidez, do you think he's that guy and he's going to be headlining against Anthony Yard on November 22nd?
Well, the potential is certainly there. Absolutely. He's a very special fighter, and nobody's going to deny that. But I think Anthony's going to be a good test. Anthony's been in there with W.A.W. He's been in there with some tough guys. It's not his first rodeo in a big fight. And Anthony Yard's a strong, big, strong guy as well. So, but yes, David Benavidez, no one will question his abilities and what the future for him can hold is looking very, very good. So I'm excited for that event and looking forward to being back in Riyadh. But I'll actually be there October 18th for the WBC Grand Prix semifinals. So
that's right.
I'll be in Riyadh October 18th for the WBC Grand Prix. And then I'll be going straight from Riyadh to London for the October 25th Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. rematch at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Wow.
And then I'll be going, let's see, where do I go from there? I do go home after that. So I mean, it's really an incredible schedule coming up. I'm very, very blessed. I'll be pretty much booked every week until the end of the year. So couldn't ask for anything more than that. And then finishing the year, we'll also have one. Queensberry's planning a show in Manchester, December 13th, I believe, in that time range.
That's right.
And we finished the year December 27th in Saudi Arabia. So it's going to be Christmas in Saudi Arabia for Double T.
Wow. That's right. It's going to be. Are you excited to see up close and personal Naoya Inoue? For my money, and I know this is as a very unpopular take, but in my opinion, he is the real pound for pound king, Naoya Inoue. He is a special, once in a generational type talent.
Well, and I think that's why they want to bring him, and His Excellency wants him to be in Saudi Arabia. He knows how special he is. And, I don't know the details of his agreement, but, I'm excited to be part of an event that he's part of. And, 2026 is going to be a very interesting year in many aspects.
Well, I tell you what, we only have a couple minutes left with you, and we really appreciate you jumping on Double T. What a nice surprise. Chief Monkey says this: what tag team came out to Living After Midnight by Judas Priest?
That would be the Midnight Rockers.
There it is. Woo! That is awesome.
And Marty Jannetty, your AWA tag team champion.
Oh, jeez. I don't want to hear about Marty Jannetty. And you know why, and we're not going to talk about that on the air.
keep the questions coming. I love these. I love when they quiz on our
Well, I tell you what, guys. And Jump Tube, the cream of the crop, yeah. Oh, yeah. Rises to the oh, yeah. I tell you what, I love. Look, who was your favorite guy that did promo? That who was your favorite guy that did promos? For my money, I think it's probably. Oh, geez, it's so hard to say. I think it's probably Dusty Rhodes.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I can't
Dusty Rhodes or Ric
disagree
Flair.
with him. He was a great promo guy, the son of a plumber. But, I mean, when I became a wrestling fan in like 84, 85, I mean, Rowdy Roddy Piper really stood out to me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I had never seen anyone so clever on the mic, a great heel or bad guy. I mean, he was just incredible. And then my favorite tag team was the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith, Dynamite Kid. I was in Chicago at WrestleMania 2, Rosemont Horizon, when they beat Greg Valentine, Beefcake, the Dream Team, and the Bulldogs had Ozzy Osbourne with Captain Lou in their corner. And I was there. I was 100 feet from the ring when they won.
I was there, McMahon.
Woo!
So yeah, I mean,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, I mean, I there were so many favorites I had, but my first, when I first started watching wrestling, I remember Piper and the Bulldogs were kind of the the ones that standed out the most. But then I became a fan of so many. So, but I really appreciate you having me on, Joe. I am a little jet lagged. It's time for me to shut my eyes. I got in late last night, and it's really hitting me, those different time zones. That's what people don't really understand, how difficult it could be when there's a 6, even up to 9-hour time difference in these other countries I work in. Because when you're going to bed at midnight, I'm having breakfast at the hotel. And Joe, I've sent you text messages and I'm at breakfast. And Joe's like, hey, I'm going to bed. So, it could be a little hard on the body. But hey, it's a small price to pay to do what I love.
Oh, you know what, brother? And we love what you do, my friend. And look, I'm going to ask you this. What is the best VIP concierge lounge in from what airport? What's the best that you've ever seen around the world?
Wow. I mean, you know what? I fly through Dallas a lot, and Dallas has a great flagship lounge. They have, New York has a very good JFK. They have a very good Newark, New Jersey, Newark Airport. They have a very good JFK Airport. I mean, all those major airports, O'Hare and Chicago. I mean, all these major hubs have terrific lounges. And yeah, that's been one of my perks as a frequent traveler, is to qualify for being able to use these first class lounges. So thank you very much, Frank. Thank you very much, His Excellency. I've had some.
Thomas's Elvis impression. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Well, let me ask you though. What is the craziest, like candid celebrity interaction that you've ever had in first class or at any of these lounges?
Well, most recently, I was in a lounge. This is after we did the Ring show in New York, in Queens at Louis Armstrong Stadium, when Hamza Shiraz fought Edgar Berlanga.
Mm-hmm.
When I did that event, I was at the airport, and I went into the lounge. And as I'm sitting there, I decided to get a cup of coffee and go over to the bar because my flight was delayed. I was actually flying to London because we had the Usyk Dubois fight the following week. If you remember, right after the Shiraz Berlanga fight, the next week was Usyk Dubois. So I went to the airport after the event to fly to London for fight week. And as I was sitting there, I was having a cup of coffee and just talking with the bartender at the time. And there wasn't anyone else in there besides me, the bartender, and this other gentleman sitting at the bar. And I mentioned my flight was delayed. And the guy said, "Oh, your flight's delayed too." And we started just having a nice conversation. Very nice guy, very friendly. He was very inquisitive of what I do for a living and so forth. And he ended up walking away from the bar, and the bartender said, "You don't know who that guy is, do you?" And I said, "No, who is that?" He goes, "He's a very, very famous singer." I'm like, "Well, what's his name?" said Sam Smith.
And Sam Smith. Wow. He's big time. He's a mainstream UK singer.
Yeah. And, I did a quick Google, and of course I was familiar with a few of his songs, but, just talking to him in his normal clothes, I didn't connect the dots when we were, just having normal kind, beard and, just look like a normal old guy, sitting there at the bar. So, but a very nice guy. And we had a nice chat. So yeah, you never know who you're going to cross paths with when you're, flying through these airports, and especially when you have the privilege of going to these high posh lounges.
Well, look, and you know me, man, Mr. Put my foot in my mouth. I say more inappropriate things than appropriate things, right? And I would have said, Sam, how did it feel to get sued by Tom Petty for ripping off his song?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh boy.
That's a true story, guys. He actually got, before Tom Petty passed away, he sued Sam Smith for ripping off his song. I won't back down.
Okay, well.
And look, this is see, I'm a musician. We all use the same theory. We all use the same chords. This is why I will never understand why another artist says, hey, you ripped off my song. Because we all use the same chords. And you know what? I would have stuck up for Sam Smith.
But what an incredible
like, look,
talent.
Buddy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
What an incredible talent Sam is, though. And I've heard now, as I hear songs of his now, because I met him and spoke to him and so forth. Now I paid a little closer attention when one of his songs come on and things like that. And wow, what a talented singer, young man he is.
Very original style, and which is very rare these days. And yeah.
But Joe, thank you so much for having me, my friend. I appreciate you taking the time.
God bless you, brother, and we will talk soon. But thank you. What a real treat, guys. Double T, Thomas Driver. Thank you, my friend, for being on the show. We love you, man.
Thank you for everyone that reached out.
And we'll look forward to seeing you at the WBC Grand Prix. That's your next event, right?
That's right. Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on October 18th, live worldwide on DAZN.
There it is, brother. God bless you, Double T. We'll talk soon. Thank you very much for jumping on, my friend.
Take care. Have a great evening.
Guys, what a treat. That was Thomas Driver. And look, I'll be honest, guys. To me, Double T. Now that Michael Buffer and Jimmy Lennon Jr., they've their best days, right, in the ring. And boy, what great memories we have with both of them. But look, I'll be honest, guys. Thomas is the elite, and he's the next great ring announcer for all the big events, for my money. And I couldn't be any happier for my brother Thomas Driver for all of the success and all of the events that he is emceeing. And he is a real pro, guys, Thomas Driver. And yeah, you can't find a better guy in this business. So, guys, that's just about it. If there's anything else that you'd like to talk about, we can do it. I can stay on maybe for another couple minutes. But, guys, if anyone else wants to jump on, please do so at this time. But, look, I'll be honest, guys. I'll be honest. I'm not thrilled. I'm not thrilled about Boots Ennis fighting Uisma Lima, guys. I'm not thrilled about it. And once again, this is a real problem. And now, once again, this is why Dana White is in the picture now. Because of, one, the promoters paying out inflated purses. It never ends well for the health of the sport, and you paint yourself in a terrible financial corner when you start paying out inflated purses. And this is what happens, guys. This is what happens. You end up getting Jaron Boots Ennis versus Uisma Lima. And it's going to be very difficult because he's grown accustomed to making $3 million per fight. It's going to be very difficult to put together the best fights for the fans with Jaron Boots Ennis. And dude, here's the problem. He's not a huge ticket seller. And guys, they'll be lucky to sell 7,000. They'll be lucky to sell 7,000 tickets for this one in his hometown of Philly. That's a real problem, guys. And Jaron Boots Ennis just isn't that guy. He's got the potential. He's got the skills. He's undoubtedly one of the most talented guys in this business today. But that doesn't matter if you don't fight and if you don't compete and participate in the fights that the fans want to see. That's a real problem, guys. And no one is to blame but Eddie Hearn. This is what happens when you pay out inflated purses. You skew the marketplace. And it gets to the point where these networks lose money. Everyone who is funding these events lose money. And Eddie Hearn doesn't care because it's not his money. It's DAZN's money. But what happens when a network continuously loses money and they don't get it back in subscriptions or ratings? They pull out of boxing. We've seen that with CBS. We've seen that with Fox. We've seen that with HBO. We've seen that with Showtime. Most recently, we've seen that with ESPN. Enough is enough, guys. These fighters, these promoters need to understand that this is a business. And if the fighters are the only ones making the money, what happens to this business? It ceases to exist. Enough is enough, guys. Someone has to start thinking of the health of the sport moving forward, or else it's going to cease to exist in the American market. I can't stress that enough, guys. If you like seeing your events in the American market, then damn it, these fighters are going to have to stop demanding a small fortune each time they step in the ring against guys like Luis Malima. That's ridiculous. Where do they think the money's going to come from? Let's be honest, guys. Is Virgil Ortiz versus Jaron Boots Ennis a pay-per-view fight? No, it's not. Neither guy's a big ticket seller. But guess what? That's where we're headed. T. Sanders, welcome to the show, sir, and thank you for hanging with us, brother. He says, why Eddie Hearn keep paying inflated purses if he knows that it's bad for the sport, Joe? Because he's trying to attract the talent. That's why. But it never ends well, and this is the inexperience of Eddie Hearn. Why do you think Frank Warren is the big swinging Johnson in the room now in the UK market, the healthiest market in boxing? Why do you think Frank Warren is taken over? Because he's smart and he's not squandering network money. He pays guys their market value. Is he trying to appear like him? Yes, that's it. He's trying to attract talent. But it never ends well when you paid out inflated purses. He should have learned that from watching Al Heyman. And what happens? The sport suffers. The health of the sport suffers. And that's what we're seeing, guys. That's why Turki Al-Sheikh, in his desperation, decided to sign a deal with the devil, the guy who's been trying to put boxing out of business for the last 2 decades. And now he's supposed to be responsible, or he's supposed to be boxing's savior? Oh, boy. Yeah, in desperation, Turki Al-Sheikh turned to Dana White. And so all of these fighters are complaining. Oh, man, he's trying to rip off fighters. No one's trying to rip off the fighters. But damn it, Quit trying to gouge the fans, the networks, and everyone involved. Quit putting the sport in a position where everyone's going to lose money, except for the fighters. It has to stop, guys, if we want to continue to see events in the American market. Because look at Thomas just rattled off the calendar. All of the events, the big events, are happening overseas. Yes, we just saw Crawford Canelo. How often do fights like that come around? Hey, thank you, my man. Congrats on the Cowboys win, by the way, Joe. Dak played very well. Well, it also helps when we're playing the Jets, the 0-5 Jets. Jets, Jets. I'll take it though, brother. And yeah, the Cowboys needed that win, right? They needed that. But that's a problem, guys. That's a big problem moving forward. But I tell you what, I'm still gonna watch. I'm still gonna watch Jaron Boots Ennis. And I tell you what, he had better put forth a statement. He better make a statement. If he goes the distance and struggles with this guy, that's not going to be good. Uisma Lima, boy, you'd better make a statement. He made a statement in his last fight against Montes Staniones at 47. He had better make a statement in the talent-enriched 154-pound weight division. And guys, when is someone going to step up and fight Bakram Murtazaliev? When? I'm sick and tired of this, guys. He deserves a big fight. Why is he fighting Uisma Lima and not Bakram Murtazaliev? He could have easily gotten that fight because no one wants to fight him. He could have fought for a major world title in his very first stint at junior middleweight. Why didn't he do that? Dude, if you're going to be demanding that much money, you're going to have to fight someone who people are interested in seeing you in the ring with. That's as old as boxing itself. And if you're not, well, then quit gouging the network and demanding that ridiculous payday. Just to put things in perspective, guys, $3 million a fight. Do you remember when the Mayweather sweepstakes? Do you remember everyone you said, oh, it's a Mayweather sweepstakes. Oh, who's going to be the beneficiary? Do you know how much the average pay for his events, and it was always a career high payday for these guys? How much did Marcos Maidana make? How much did Robert Guerrero make? $3 million. That's how much they made. And for fighting Floyd Mayweather Jr., the biggest star in boxing at the time. And that's how much Jaron Boots Ennis is demanding each time out. That's it. Slide and counter. Good to see you, man. Ennis is one of those instinctive fighters that makes moves off of pure athleticism and reflexes. Very flashy. He's got it all, guys. He's got it all. And that's why Eddie Hearn paid him out these inflated purses to get him on his under his banner, promotional banner. But is it going to pay off? Is it going to equate to ratings and ticket sales? So far, ticket sales aren't good for this event against Uisma Lima. So he had better show us something special. And Uisma Lima is not a bad fighter. But we want to see something special for that much money. And I tell you what, the fans in Philly, his hometown, they're not impressed. From what I've been told, ticket sales aren't good. They've only sold between 6,000 and 7,000 tickets thus far. That's not good, guys. That's not good. For $3 million, you better pack the house. You better be making some noise. You better draw ratings. Or else the network is going to say, you know what? We're just not interested in boxing right now. We're going to move on to other sports that actually make money and draw sponsorship. I can't stress this enough, guys. And this has been a big problem within the American market. No other market has this issue in boxing. The UK is thriving. Japan is thriving. Australia's thriving. Welcome to the show, sir. Shitty fights like this makes you want to watch something else. Down with these tune-up trash. Look, it's okay to have a tune-up, especially in your first fight at 54, but not for the kind of money that you're demanding. If you can't sell tickets and you can't draw ratings, why the hell are you demanding money and leaving a bad taste in the mouth of everyone at the network when they don't get ratings, they don't get subscriptions, and they lose money? What happens when any business lose money? They lose interest. They lose interest. Refugio, welcome to the show, sir. He said the official Boots Ennis channel, USM, is reporting no Virgil Ortiz fight next. Fundora or Bakram next for Eddie Hearn. Well, you know what? That doesn't surprise me one bit. Look, I don't care. If he fights Fundora, great. I don't see him doing it, though. And if he fights Bakram Murtazaliev, great. I love that even more. When he says YSM Sports. And, yeah, I'm friends with my brother, Jamil, at YSM. He's a good guy. But look, Choose, how you doing, my man? Good to see you, brother. Salute to you. Boots and everyone else at 54 will have a bumpy road, tough division. Yep, that's right. True words were never spoken, Juice. Knows he weighs at the top and knows he weighs out. Yep, that's true. And once again, if you're getting paid $3 million per fight, that's what's expected of you. Not Usman Lima. Now, once again, for that much money, and so once again, the problem is, we're going to go back to this. Refugio is reporting this from my brother Jamil, YSM. Virgil Ortiz, and there's a reason why that fight's not going to be made. Because if you're demanding $3 million per fight, fighting Usman Lima, how much are you going to demand and expect to step in the room with a stud like Virgil Ortiz? How much? This is why we're seeing the Hammer, right? This is why we're seeing Virgil Ortiz, fight the Hammer. Right? I'll tell you exactly how much the Hammer's making. Erickson Lubin. Erickson Lubin is only making $900,000 for this fight. And that's reasonable because he's not a big ticket seller, but he's a very good fighter. $900,000, that's all he's making. Compare that to Boots Ennis. That's why we're seeing Erickson Lubin versus Virgil Ortiz instead. Because he's reasonable and he fights for fair market value. And he knows he's not a ticket seller. That's his market value. Who determines market value? The fans. If you can't sell tickets or draw ratings, why are you demanding $3 million? And Eddie Hearn, why are you dumb enough to pay him that with network money? You're setting yourself up, as well as the health of the sport, you're setting it up for failure. No one is in business to lose money. JumpTube says, so Suva will have their own belts? How do you think the sanctioning organizations will react to that? Well, look, they can't right now. Because the Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act won't allow it. They demand that the belts be separated from the promoters. That's a bylaw within the Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act. From what I was told, that's the primary reason they want to amend the Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act. They want to make their own title. You can't. You're going to be in breach of the Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act. He can talk all he wants. Yep. Slide and counter. Very good memory. Ennis wants $3 million for Lima. That's what he's getting. It's the same as David Reed made as champion versus Trinidad on pay-per-view back in the day. These fighters nowadays get paid too much for nothing. That's right. And that's the big problem within the business of the American market. In the UK, they don't have that problem. Why are these promoters doing this with network money? Putting these networks in a position to fail. It's bad for business, guys, and that's what's wrong with the American market. The marketplace has been skewed by paying out inflated purses. And Eddie couldn't care less. He's a jerk. Yeah, I said it. He's a total creep. He couldn't care less about the health of the sport within the American market. Oh, they can't even award belts. Look, the only one that they'll be giving out is the ring. That's it. But look, here's the quandary. Look at the ring rankings. All of the top fighters are signed with other promoters. So they're going to be a competition with no belts? That's ridiculous, guys. And what good are the belts if the fans don't recognize it as being a legitimate title? What does that even mean then? Guys, the fighters and the fans make the titles, not the other way around. Not the promoters, not the networks, not anyone else. It's the fighters and the fans who make the titles. Let me ask you something, Jump Tube and Slide and Counter and Juice. Thank you for hanging with me. What good or what is the worth of the WBO title at this time at junior middleweight? Do you consider it to be, because who's got it? Xander Zayas, right? WBO. Do you consider him to be the champion at 154 pounds or even a champion? Who did he beat? Once again, guys, it's the fans and the fighters who make the titles what they are. Not the promoters, not the networks. Fundora, he's got a real title. Bakram Murtazaliev, he's got a real title. What's his name? The guy who just beat Ennis. The Down syndrome, Terrence Crawford. Do you consider him to be a legitimate champion at 54? I don't. Who's he beaten? Who did he beat? Do you consider Rolly Romero a legit champion at 47? I don't. Who did he beat? Mario Barrios, for all that matters. Do you consider him a legit champ at 47? I don't. How about Brian Norman? Who did he beat? Guys, it's the fighters and the fans that legitimize these titles. Not the other way around. Once again, you have to beat somebody. And look, I'll say this. I wish we only had the ring belt and the ring rankings. But here's the problem, guys. Networks and fans love title fights. I know fans bellyache all the time about the divisions are watered down because they have too many titles. Yeah. For some reason, you guys don't get up for a mere grudge match at the number 7 versus number 8 ranked fighter. Fighters always seem to make more money, and the networks are always more interested in a title fight. That's why we have so many titles. Admit it. You guys have to be honest with yourselves. Jaron boots Ennis? Would this fight mean more if it were for a vacant title? If you were fighting for a belt, would you be more dialed in regardless of who it is? That's a problem, guys, within the business moving forward. It's fans complain about the titles. Too many of them. But then what happens when a fight is not for a major world title? They're not as interested. They're not as amped up for it. That's a problem. Because back in the day, guys, when boxing was much healthier, if 2 top 10 guys squared off for like a regional title, like the NABF, that meant something. Back in the day when a fighter, 2 top 10 fighters squared off for a state championship, like the California title, that meant something back in the day. Guys, we need to get back to that. The fighters and the fans make the titles. You guys need to start exercising your rights as the real bosses of boxing. But that's not going to happen until you guys start financially supporting the product again. That's why they don't listen to you. That's why you're seeing Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. That's why we just saw Crawford versus Canelo. And we're going to keep seeing the circus events, guys, in the American market, because those are the only matchups that attract paying customers, mainstream and casual fans. That's it. And as long as they're the demographic that promoters and fighters are trying to reach, you're going to see a ton of alphabet titles. You're going to see those. Slide and Counter says, Zayas has to prove now that he's a vacant title holder. Yep. I feel Fundora should have fought him, but who knows what was said behind this. Look. Oh. Guys, that wasn't a huge fight. It was a much bigger fight to fight Tim Tszyu, who used to be a legitimate franchise in boxing in Australia. He was a massive ticket seller, and his management team just wrecked him, destroyed his career. That has to be the worst handling of a prize fighter I've seen in a long, long time. They had a special situation in Australia that he was a legitimate franchise. Why they went the route they did, I will never know. But it was definitely a bigger money fight than fighting Xander Zayas, who can't even sell out the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden. Well, it's a shame. But that's what happens when you're coddled by your promoter. Look, I love Top Rank. And I think Bruce and Brad are the 2 very best in the business, matchmaking. But look, man, they've handled his career with kid gloves. It's time to let him off the leash. It's time to let him off the leash, guys. So, geez, what are you waiting for? We'll see what happens, though, guys. But look, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of these guys demanding a small fortune to fight the Uisma Limas of the world and putting the networks in a position where they're going to lose money and fail. It's not good for the health of the sport. Not good for the health of the sport, guys. Bozy, Jaron, you better show us something. With that said, guys, who the hell wants to see Fundora versus Keith Thurman? This is terrible. Look, I'll be honest, guys. I'm more excited to see Virgil Ortiz versus Erickson Lubin. But why aren't these guys fighting each other? That's the reason, guys, because they want too much damn money. And this is what happens when you pay out inflated purses. I can't stress that enough. This is what you get. You got a bunch of fights that no one wants to see, and they're not fighting each other. Look at 35. It's terrible, guys. It's terrible. But that's what happens when you pay out inflated purses. Guys, that's going to be just about it. I want to thank you for hanging with me. God bless all of you guys. If you miss any part of the show, go back and rewind. We had a really, really nice chat with both. I want to thank Rick Glaser as well as my brother Double T, Thomas Triber, for being on the show. But guys, keep supporting your beloved boxing and keep demanding, put pressure on these guys to fight the fights. Jump to, before we go, Pitbull and Roach got made. Yes, and I'm going to be there. I think it got changed. It's going to be December 6th, I think, in San Antonio. But it's going to be in San Antonio, Texas. I'm going to be ringside. I'm going to be actually covering that event. I'm going to come out of retirement and actually do interviews. And I'll be live press row at that event. And I'm really looking forward to getting back into it. And look, I'll be honest. I loved that fight. Look, if Pitbull Cruz has anything left, if he's not damaged goods from all the wars he's been in, this should be a very interesting fight and a great style matchup. But look, unless he's ascertained and picked up that ring, added that new wrinkle to his repertoire, cutting off the ring and closing the distance effectively, then I like Lamont Roach Jr. Until he adds that new wrinkle, he's going to have problems against skilled technicians like Lamont Roach. But I still like this matchup. Lamont's a dog. We know Pitbull is. Yeah, it's a great matchup, guys. And we're also looking forward to, on the undercard, it's going to be Janabek Ali Manala versus Erislandy Lara. It's going to be unification. Honestly, I'd rather see Carlos Adames versus Janabek. Hopefully that's what they're setting up. But yeah, that's going to be in the co-main event as well. So we'll let you know, guys, if there's anything more added to that as soon as the news is revealed. But if you guys are wondering, if you missed this part of it, Moses Italma, his next opponent is going to be Huey Fury. Yep, I know. That's kind of disappointing, isn't it? But guys, Moses is still young and he's just coming up. And Huey Fury is going to give him some rounds. I'm with Rick Glaser, though. Hopefully Moses Italma knocks his ass into retirement. But anyway, guys, God bless all of you. Happy Monday night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Too can smell manly if you listen to Real Talk with Rick Glaser.